Welcome back to another segment of the MCR. Mac is to my left. My name is TJ. Thanks everyone. Thanks to all our loyal subscribers for your support. We really appreciate it. And in this segment, I want to talk about a politician of the Democrat persuasion. He is an Arizona state senator. And in one of their sessions, as they were debating and eventually passed the SB 1164 bill, okay, and this bill basically restricted abortions after 15 weeks, and you can even debate the number of weeks because some thinks that there should be 0 weeks, but
I would be one of those people.
Yeah, this Lupe Contreras said something. I would tell you it's horrible, but then when you think about all the things they've said and done, is it really any more horrible than that? And here's what Lupe Contreras said in this Arizona state legislature floor. Okay? This is what he said. I have 4 foster kids at my house. They were kids from parents that probably should have probably had an abortion. So he's got 4 foster kids, by his own statement, by his own words, should have been aborted. Should have been killed.
What are these kids going to think when they hear this as they grow up? Can you imagine your mom saying, God, I wish I'd have killed you when I had the chance?
And I thought how horrible this was. But then I thought back to 3 years ago when we started this channel. And one of our first segments, we talked about the New York State Legislature and how they got up and applauded. And I don't exactly require the wording of the bill they passed, but it had something to do with allowing abortions up until delivery or something to that effect.
Yeah, maybe even after delivery.
And it was, and that's horrible. I mean, if a lady say does a delivery today, delivers a baby today, but yesterday she could have had it aborted prior to the delivery, and so I think of what Lupe Contreras said. Is it any worse to what they've said and done in the past? And when we did that video 3 years ago, I mentioned Terry Schiavo. And in referencing Terry Schiavo, I referenced a conversation you and I had years ago. And when I say years ago, like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right? And how aghast I was. And I remember saying to you, Mac, the Democrats want this woman dead.
Yeah.
They want
that
her.
That was pretty clear.
They want her dead. Well, just like these foster kids.
Well, maybe not. Maybe they didn't want her dead, but they wanted to kill her. Well, they seemed hell-bent on killing her.
Going to these foster kids.
I know that sounds like splitting hairs, but there is a slight difference.
Going to these, Lupe Contreras, by his own words, they would have been better off killed.
Try in your wildest imagination to give me a scenario where you would be better off dead.
I just, and I always liked the pro-life, turning the phrase pro-choice on the left, life, what a beautiful choice.
Yeah.
You couldn't come up with a more beautiful, truthful, accurate statement. Short, to the point, life. What a beautiful choice. Well, not according to Lupe Contreras.
Okay, so here's what, if he were here, this is what I would ask him. And what, to society, what would be the advantage of these kids being dead? So he doesn't have a problem with the school shooting, I'm guessing.
You know what?
I mean, that's something with the thought process.
I guess they would have been denied the bliss of his household. I don't know. I mean, gee.
Well, I would say social services ought to be in there getting those kids. I certainly think I would certainly have concern for their well-being at this point.
Well, you know what? And I had those exact same thoughts. If it's that bad, we're social services. And in thinking about this topic here, my mind went back many years ago, and when I say many years ago, this was about 25 years ago, maybe. I was debating the issue of abortion with a feminist, my body, my choice, that kind of stuff, and I kind of figured out then that this was a topic where the feminists went it both ways.
Oh yeah.
It's my choice, and if in my infinite wisdom I decide to have the child, it's on you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, really, that's what we're going with here. And as I was talking to the feminist, and she said kind of what Lupe said here. Some kids are better off not being born. I mean, she was making this same argument, and it so infuriated me back then. My comment was, well, you know what? If we're talking about a feminist who would just as soon kill them, I said maybe they would be better off without that kind of mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? She had a fit that I would dare to say that.
Yeah.
So I took her argument to the extreme and turned it on.
Well, they've had so many of their points shot down. They just move on to the next one. First off, it isn't a human being. Well, biology says that it is. DNA testing that we didn't have then.
And the reason why DNA is because they always say it's no different than cutting off my finger. And if I want to cut off my finger, let me cut off my finger.
Right.
Hopefully, it's not your trigger finger, but
I got two hands.
Yeah, but that's why the DNA is such a big deal. Is
Right.
It makes it a separate, and to use a generic term here, it makes it a separate entity.
Well, you would look foolish if I were to say you were a feminist and I brought you in here and showed you an ultrasound and said, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And you say, "A fetus." You're going to look bad saying that because everybody on the earth knows that's a baby, and now you're a liar.
And when I heard about what Lupe Contreras had his statement, he made this in public. He made this on the State House floor. I've said this time and time again, the difficulty of trying to reason with that logic. There's no reasoning with this.
Well, he would try to make
the
my body, my choice argument also is gone because it's not your body. It's in your body, but it's not your body. It's the body of a separate human being who's done nothing wrong, and you want to give it the death penalty because you want to be a whore, just like men have always been. Women want to be whores that men have always been. They want to hop from bed to bed to bed with no consequences. But that's not science. So talk about trust the science. Well, you better trust it and realize that when you have sex, you're going to get pregnant.
And just one final thought. I can't think of any better example of pure innocence.
Correct.
Just pure innocence, and these kids would have been better off had they been aborted. A lot of people would have been better off if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had not been born. And by the way, side note here, it did appear to pass the House floor. I guess Arizona is trying to take somewhat of a stance on this, but if he's going to say it about foster kids, how did social services even find him fit?
Oh, he lied.
How could social services find him fit to even have these foster kids reside in his household?
Or he's lying here.
Well, yeah, one or the other.
Yeah,
one or the other.
He's a liar for sure.
So that's all I got on this topic. I just had to bounce it off Mac because
that's disgusting.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Anything else? We'll wrap this up.
No, I don't think I have anything other than it's disgusting. It's
and it's nothing new.
The taking of a human life for any reason other than self-defense.
I mean, you got the what was the old governor of Virginia, Northam?
Yeah.
Saying that if a child was deformed or something, even after delivery, it could be aborted or whatever.
I don't think it stops here.
my
It'll
goodness.
be once
Oh, my
they
goodness.
can fully kill the unborn, then they will want to
No,
fully kill the elderly.
zero appreciation for life in any form is really what it boils down to. And I'll keep ranting that song.
Okay, I'm good.
So we'll end here. Thanks everyone for watching this segment, and we'll see you in our next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.